Ryan Day's lost the last two to Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. And as ridiculous as this question is, I got to ask it. What would a third loss to Michigan mean for Ryan Day? I think people are spoiled that there was that long stretch where Jim Tressel and Ryan Day were beating Michigan and thought it was going to be like that. That doesn't happen. But back to the question, third loss to Michigan.
Yeah, John Cooper can tell you how he went through a thing. But the John Cooper name has already been thrown out there because there are really some similarities right now where John Cooper had some really talented teams. I mean, Orlando Pace, Eddie George, David Boston, Terry Glenn, all these elite dudes where you're 30 years removed from it and you're looking like, how did that team lose to Michigan? Look at the talent. And right now, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, C.J. Stroud, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Travion Henderson, Paris Johnson, the list continues on of guys where 30 years from now, you're going, how did that team lose to Michigan twice? But it's a hard thing to answer, though, because I think if you'd asked me this question a decade ago, you're probably saying, oh, Ryan Day's on the hot seat, and it might be a wrap for the Ryan Day era at Ohio State. But this is the biggest Ohio State-Michigan game potentially ever. It's two 11-0 teams, and we've seen that two other times before, but a spot, as you mentioned, in the Big Ten championship game, a spot in the playoff is on the line, all the extra that's going on right now with the alleged sign-stealing scandal, the fact that we're getting ready to go into a 12-team playoff world, so this is no longer going to have an implication on whether or not a team makes the playoff or not, the fact that the Big Ten is getting rid of divisions after this year, the fact that both of these head coaches might actually hate each other, which there's always been a level of respect in this rivalry. I don't think that's true this time around. Both of those coaches this week got asked verbatim, do you respect the other coach? And neither of them said yes. They didn't say no either, but they didn't say yes when they could have just said, yes, I respect this guy. And so because of all of that is not going to exist, it might be a rough thing for fans to wrap their head around. But Ryan Day has been awesome outside of this game as a head coach, and Ohio State's been one of the best teams in the country. And so I think the perception of him, which is already maybe waning depending on what part of the fan base you're talking to, might continue to trend towards a negative perception. But I think for the people who actually make the decisions, which will be whoever is the athletic director after Gene Smith is done next summer, I don't know if it impacts him from is he on the hot seat standpoint, but I do think fans will grow even more tireless of the Ryan Day era if it's a third straight loss, especially under these circumstances.
And, it makes it must-see TV on Saturday because of all the things that you mentioned